In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the use of the select case statement in Visual Basic.net. The select case is a lot like the if-then-else statement with some pretty major distinctions, but it does allow you to do conditional branching within your applications. Now, the case select is more suited to the scenario where you have a lot of checks. For example, we noted how we had to add additional else-if statements to check Larry and to check Shemp. So we did else if the command arg0 equals Larry, then console.writeLine, you entered Larry, and then we did the same thing for Shemp. And if we had like 10 of those conditions, we'd have to write 10 else if statements. Well, that becomes very verbose. In other words, there's a lot of typing there, and there's an easier way to do it using the case or the select case statements. So a select case statement looks sort of like this. You have select case, and then you have the value that will be evaluated. Then you list out the possible values, in this case for command args0. In other words, the first value that's passed in to our application. And if you don't understand this, please look at the video more about console apps. So we're going to look at the first element of the command args array, and we're going to evaluate it. And if that case is Mo, then we'll write out you entered Mo. And if it's Larry, then we're going to write out Larry. So let's go ahead and build our project, and then bring up our command window. And I want you to notice that I put this application in the following directory. It's in C projects, case select, and then I navigated to the bin directory where your applications are compiled. And to run the application, I'll type in case select, and then I'm going to type in Mo. And it says you entered Mo. Let's run it again for Larry. You entered Larry. And what would happen, do you suppose, if I typed in Curly at this point? Nothing happens. Why? Because our select case statement only evaluates if command args equals Mo or Larry. Now there are some variations on this theme, and I'll show you one in particular. Unlike the if-then-else statement, I can evaluate whether command args equals one value, as we have in the case of Mo, or if any of the values fit, then execute this line of code. So in this case, I added to our case Larry, I put a comma and curly. So now, if command args equals Larry or curly, then execute this line of code. You entered Larry or curly. So let's go ahead and run that quickly. Bring up our command window. Okay, very good. So it worked. Finally, I've added one last line of code to our application, case else. This works a lot like the else statement in the if-then-else structure that we noted in the previous video, in so much that it's a catch-all, it's a garbage collector, if you will, for all of the other cases that are not satisfied by our previous case statements. So if it isn't Mo, Larry, or Curly, then execute this line of code. And in this case, what we did, I put here is that you entered, and then whatever they actually entered. So let's go ahead and test this. Bring up our command window. You entered Shemp. It took the value that I passed in and merely printed it back to the window. However, if I were to type in Curly again, notice that it doesn't print you entered Curly a second time. That's because we've already satisfied one of the case statements, and it does not continue on to the else statement. So you'll use the select case many times throughout your application development. It's another good way to structure your code so that it evaluates one condition and then executes based on that one condition or two conditions, as we noted here in this case. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned a little bit more about the select case statement. Thank you.